That is very, very high. Good afternoon to you, wherever you're listening to me from. Welcome to 360 Parenting with Ibukunlu Oteshile on Honor 103.5 FM, where, as you know, honor and integrity is our watchword. How have you been? How are you faring? How has the day been? Yesterday, it rained, the first rain in the year 2025. I was having a conversation with somebody today, and he said that if the rain did not get to your place, or if it didn't rain in your area yesterday, maybe you guys are quite sinful. I don't know about that. But it's good to have the rains. We trust that this year would really be a good year for us, for the farmers, for harvest, and for harvest. And I think it's just, really to say for harvest. Welcome to 360 Parenting, wherever you're listening to me from. As you know, 360 Parenting, we talk about everything that has to do with raising your children, whether they are your biological children or children that are in your sphere of influence, raising them to grow to become adults that can make meaningful contribution to the new Nigeria that all of us are clamoring for. And that's because many of us, if not all of us, in fact, I can say that all of us are a product of our childhood experiences. If you do not get certain intervention in the course of your life, you would be that maladjusted adult, becoming a menace to the society or troubling people in whatever space that you find yourself. And that's why it's important that we take parenting seriously, that we spotlight intentional and positive parenting. And that's what we do on 360 Parenting. We bring experts to talk to you about everything that concerns your children. In fact, while your children, or while that child is still just a fetus in your uterus or in the womb, how can you start caring for the child to the point of giving birth to the child, to raising the child to becoming a respectable adult in the society? My name is Ibukunlu Oteshile, and this is 360 Parenting on Honor 103.5 FM.
Ìyá mi máa ṣeun rere, gbàdúrà fún mi. Bàbá mi máa ṣeun rere, gbàdúrà fún mi. Ọmọdé bá hùwà burúkú, wọ́n ní ìyá rẹ̀ ló kọ́. Ọmọdé bá hùwà burúkú, wọ́n ní bàbá rẹ̀ ló kọ́. Ìyá mi fọ̀nà tó dá mi láyé.
Wọ́n ní sọmọdé bá hùwà burúkú, wọ́n ní ìyá ẹ̀ ló kọ́. Tó bá tún hùwà òun nígbà mìíràn, wọ́n ní bàbá ẹ̀ ló kọ́. Ìtumọ̀ ẹ̀ ni wípé bí àwọn ọmọ wa bá ṣe yàn, a lè tọ́ka sí ìwà tí àwọn òbí ti wà, bí àwọn òbí ṣe ti tọ́ wọn. That's what we're talking about on 360 Parenting. And today, I have a special guest in the house. We're going to be talking about something very, very important. But before we go into the topic of discussion today, you know how we do it. Let's just remind ourselves who a parent is. It's a new year. Last year, we talked about having parenting goals. And let me quickly run that in the next 2 minutes. As we go into the year 2025, evaluate yourself. All of us can tell ourselves the truth. How well did you parent your children in the year 2025? I'm sure there are things that you would like your children to stop doing. You as a parent, in the parenting journey that you are on, can you be sincere to evaluate yourself and say, in the year 2025, okay, so I want to stop doing this. I want to improve on this. I want to spend more time with my children. I want to start having certain conversations with them. What are your parenting goals for the year 2025? If you have not written those goals down, if you have not sat down to set those goals, I don't think it's too late. I think that you can still use this opportunity to do that. Sit down, call yourself, and whether you are still with both parents are together parenting together, or you are single parenting or co-parenting, what is important is that you have goals and you set those goals, realistic goals, smart goals, to say this year 2025 in our parenting journey, this is how we want to parent our children. These are the things that I want to stop doing. I was having a conversation with my son, a couple of days back, and we had this back and forth, and I said something to him, or I asked him to do something, and he didn't do it. And so, of course, not of course, as the African mother that I'm still trying to balance, I shouted at him, and he looked at me and said, "Mom, you know that if it was me, you will say to me, that you could have said the same thing to your sister without shouting, without being aggressive. It hit me, even though I still use the bold phrase to say, you should have listened to me the first time I said. But so for me, one of the things that I want to do better in the year 2025 is to reduce my shouting. So that's for me, Ibukoluwa Ateshile. What is your parenting goal in the year 2025? Please write it down. What are those things that you want to stop doing? What are those things that you want to start doing? If you're just joining us, this is 360 Parenting with Ibukoluwa Ateshile on 103.5 FM. So today we're going to talk about fostering independence and life skills in children. I know that some parents, when we push this out, some parents would have started raising doors to say that independence, should children be independent? Why should we want to foster independence? What are we saying? This woman has come again. Just calm, mommy, daddy, be calming down. Just hold on. We're going to have this conversation about this. And I have a guest in the house who is more than able to do justice to that. Let me quickly run through his profile. I have with me this afternoon Bayonle Fesobi. He's a dedicated social change agent advocating for sustainable development and inclusive societies. He served as a national coordinator for Students for Liberty Nigeria and regional coordinator for Cape Verde, Guinea-Bissau, Sierra Leone, before he moved to become the first community mobilizer at Students for Liberty's Liberty Opportunity Task Force, working with over 25 volunteers in 8 countries around. On 360 Parenting, we bring people that of timber and caliber and of Opepe and on mahogany. So Bayonle is an alumnus of the Lagos Business School, where he was trained and holds a certificate in strategy and action, specializing in turning strategy into action. Bayonle holds a bachelor's degree in political science, a certificate in civic leadership and social entrepreneurship from the Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration, GIMPA, Accra, Ghana. I've known Bayonle to be somebody that's been working with children for a while. So talking about children is forte. Ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're listening to me from, please join me to welcome Mr. Bayonle Fesobi to today's program. Good afternoon, Mr. Bayonle.
Good afternoon, Mrs. Soteshile.
How are you?
I'm very fine, thank you.
Okay, so let's go straight into the conversation. So let me say this. I'm not sure we will be able to exhaust this conversation, and I just like to crave your indulgence. It means that we might have to continue this conversation next week. Let's see how that goes. But I just needed to say that ahead of time. So fostering independence and teaching life skills in children. Let's even start. Children are dependent on their parents. Children are supposed to be dependent on their parents. Now, it's like we're bringing two contradictions together. We bring children that should be dependent, and then we're saying fostering independence. So what exactly are we saying this afternoon?
All right, thank you so much, Mrs. Soteshile, for that question. The bone of the contention, or the focus of conversation for today, is to ensure that we bring the new phase of support that children need from parents. Now, so in today's world where things are fast changing, the world is no longer the way it used to be, the environment, the society shapes what eventually becomes a child these days, faster than it was before. It's important to now begin to understand how we can bring independence into the parenting skills that can help our children to be independent. Now, while children are expected to be dependent when they cannot help themselves, it's quite understandable when they cannot help themselves. But when they begin to understand themselves, they begin to become conscious. Parents need to understand where the shift lies and to become supportive, hence fostering their independence. So we are saying parents need to understand when they need to start dropping their overtly control and then allowing their children to be independent. And then parents now need to begin to now learn how they can create supportive, play the supportive role for their children. In this case, we are saying Parents need to understand where you need to allow your children to make mistakes, where you need to allow them to be on their own, where you need to allow them to express themselves, where you need to allow them to be themselves at a certain level. Part their age, I mean, as they grow,
the age requires.
as they grow, yeah, exactly. So you need to begin to learn where to loosen the rope. Not losing the rope in terms of making them go wayward, but losing the rope in terms of making them to understand where they need to now take up responsibilities for themselves. I see how the African homes are wired in a way that parents begin to allot household chores to children, and you begin to wonder, oh, can this child begin to do this kind of work? And they will tell you, if you don't allow him to start doing this kind of work now, then when? And that's the independence you are granting that child. And those children they begin to learn how they can understand themselves better, pick for themselves better careers, get for themselves a firm grip of not only responsibility, problem solving skills, decision making skills, and then get to become a better adult in the society.
So I think it's okay to say that part of the development of the child, or the necessary development that should happen in a child, is also independence.
Exactly.
A child understanding, and then to to buttress what you have said, coming from the place of psychology and child development, there are developmental tasks that the child is supposed to be able to achieve. There are milestones that the child is supposed to be able to achieve, and there's a level of independence that child requires to be able to. You don't want a child totally dependent on you. You won't even be able to breathe at all. If you have a 6-year-old that is not potty trained, that still requires, of course, yes, they still require some supervision to use the toilet, but that cannot of his or her own just go to the restroom and use the toilet, or is him or herself. So I get that it becomes important that children or parents understand that children gaining independence or learning some certain level of independence is part of their development.
Exactly.
And finding that balance is what is important. You talked about some skills, because today's conversation is fostering independence and then life skills that children require. And you already have gone into some of these life skills. So what are life skills? When we say life skills, let's break it down a bit. What are life skills?
All right, life skills are those skills that you require to survive in life. So growing up, you must have learned consciously or unconsciously some of these skills, either from schools, either from your parents, either from the environment, either from your society, or in your religious place of worship. Life skills are what eventually help you to navigate the waters of life, and that's why we call them life skills. Some people like to call them survival skills, and they are these very core skills that every human being needs to survive in this life.
So children
Yes.
also need to acquire life
Absolutely.
skills.
In fact, every human needs to acquire life skills, but it's best if parents help their children to grab these skills from their childhood, which is why this becomes very important, and that's part of the independence we are helping them to get. If you allow your child to get a level of independence, you are exposing that child to gain that life skill support that you are supposed to grant to that child. So we have problem solving skills, we have self-confidence, we have decision making skills, we have critical thinking skills. These are life skills that you might be surprised that at age 23 a graduate cannot navigate his way from a bus stop to another. And I mean, it's pathetic, and that's part of the life skills. There is this popular myth in the Yoruba culture where they ask you to go and get a thing that does not exist.
They give you a road.
and you're wondering, and then you go there, quote and unquote, foolishly,
Yes.
and then you go ask. They have asked me to get a rodon, and then you're like, and they make jest of you, and you're like, why are they hiding this thing from me? You have, inspiring that child to be inquisitive, and then the next time, if that child gets to know what a rodon is that day, trust me, he or she's going to use that skill on his friend tomorrow morning. It's just very basic.
So if I understand you, I want us to go over it again. Some of the very important, there are quite a number of skills, life skills that children should acquire or human beings should acquire in first place. So, but for the children or for a child, it's critical that the child acquires, let's go over it again.
self-confidence, problem-solving skills, decision-making skills, and leadership skills.
Okay, you mentioned critical thinking also,
critical thinking.
and I think I can add communication skills also.
Yeah, that comes with your leadership.
Okay,
because you're able to communicate properly.
Oh, okay. So these are skills that are very important for our children to acquire. We will go into what parents can do or how parents can help children acquire these skills after this break. You're still on to 360 Parenting with Ibukunloa.
On 103.5 FM.
Let's go. This is your radio.
Unless we make broadcasting accountable, it is going to be very hard to change anything else for the better in our society. That is why all established and aspiring broadcasters are enjoined to join Society of Nigerian Broadcasters, SMB, the only legally recognized professional body for broadcasters in Nigeria. Registered since 1994. Bẹ́ẹ̀ni o, ìjọba ti wá rọ̀ Society of Nigerian Broadcasters, SMB lágbára láti issue operational license fún gbogbo ẹnikẹ́ni tó fẹ́ ṣiṣẹ́ ìgbóhùnsáfẹ́fẹ́ lórílẹ̀‐èdè Nàìjíríà. Pẹ̀lú ìtọ̀sẹ̀ tó tọ́, SMB has successfully gone through all the different stages of becoming law. Àjẹpẹ́ fún ẹnikẹ́ni láti rẹ́sẹ̀ walẹ̀ gẹ́gẹ́ bí agbóhùnsáfẹ́fẹ́ lórílẹ̀‐èdè Nàìjíríà. Ó ní láti jẹ́ ọ̀kan lára ọmọ ẹgbẹ́ SMB. Join now and be glad you did. Fún àlàyé lẹ́kùnrẹ́rẹ́ láti dọmọ ẹgbẹ́ SMB, ẹ pè alábòjútó National Coordinator Dr. Yemisi Bangbose lórí ẹ̀rọ ìbánisọ̀rọ̀ 0803-331-5256 or better still visit www.smb.com.ng. Be fulfilled as a broadcaster. Join SMB. Gbogbo onínáwó pátá tó fi mọ́ gbogbo aláṣẹ chicken tẹ́ fẹ́ lò bó ti wù kó pọ̀ tó DMAGs ni a máa bọ̀ ẹ má wulẹ̀ làágùn jìnnà mọ́ DMAG frozen foods ni a máa bọ̀. Oh yes, whatever occasion it is, chieftaincy ceremony, housewarming, naming, birthday party or whatever occasion it is, DMAG frozen foods has got your back for whatever number of chickens you may desire. All caterers, worry less, as DMAG is there for you to take care of your chicken supplies, be it whole chicken or in pieces. Damages will cut, will pack, and deliver to wherever you want it. Ajẹ́pẹ́tẹ́ bá ti ń ronú náwó ẹ ṣá máa ronú Damages fún irúfẹ́ iye chicken tẹ́ bá ń fẹ́ bó ti wù kó pọ̀ tó kò sí wàhálà kankan. Ẹ kàn sí Damages frozen foods lẹ́ni ní plot 2 block F number 6 Olúbàdàn avenue Olúyọ̀lé estate lẹ́bàá Fumac pharmacy Ìbàdàn tàbí lẹ́ka àwọn tó wà ní off new garage Akala expressway lẹ́bàá Anchor mall kátó délé Akari junction Ìbàdàn. Fún àlàyé lẹ́kùnrẹ́rẹ́ ẹ pè 090-6286-4238 tàbí 090-6296-8870. Think party chickens, think Damages.
On 103.5 FM.
Welcome back to 360 Parenting with Ibukunloa Oteshile on Hono 103.5 FM, where honor and integrity is our watchword. I've been talking with Mr. Bayonle Fesubi, and we've been talking about fostering independence and helping our children acquire life skills. Before we went on that break, we were just going to go into how parents can help children acquire these skills. But before we go into that, we were having a chit chat just, during the break. And I think that conversation becomes very, very important, and we can bring it into it. How do parents teach children or their children these life skills, bearing in mind that, I want you to pick it together, add it, combine it with the first one, which is that whilst trying to foster independence, how do you, as a parent, balance giving them freedom to make their mistakes and learn from it, and also not abusing them or predisposing them to abuse? I was saying that it's a thin line, and you said to me that it's a broad line. So please, let's express it.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Oteshile, for that question. And yes, it's a broad line, because there is a very huge difference between independence and dependence. If you want your child to continuously depend on you, then continue to spoon feed them. Don't wean them. Don't allow them to become matured don't allow them to become responsible for themselves. You will continue to be there for them.
Well, that's the only child I have.
Well, that's your only child. That's what I'm saying. If you want them to continuously for the rest of their life depend on you, then no problem. They will never be independent.
There are some mistakes that they can make that can impair their life, that can mar them for life. How do I ensure that they don't make those mistakes just because I want to give some level of independence?
Experience, they say, is the best teacher, especially for fools. Yes. And in this case, if you don't allow
wait.
Yes.
That's let's go over that again.
All right.
So experience is the best teacher, especially for fools.
Yes, that's
wow.
the complete proverb.
Oh,
Yes.
really?
Yes.
Okay, that's if you are the one experiencing it.
No. You only learn by experience if you are a fool. Okay, so this is how it works.
Okay.
Great. If your parents help you to build a system or create an environment for you to learn and to grow and to be independent, you don't need to learn from experience. You already know that for this action, there is a consequence. For this pathway, there is a result. So you don't need to learn by experience. You don't need to make that mistake. So children are liable to make mistakes. You cannot see, there's a level to which you can control your children.
Yeah,
at the end of the day, they end up deciding for themselves what they eventually become. When that was yesterday, we were discussing and we were trying to see how parents can win their child and then allow the child to be, which is the ideal, and that's the independence we are talking about. So we're going to look at how to create that balance exactly, and which I said is a broad line. So you see your child as a project, but see them as a building project, as a construction project. You are constructing a gigantic structure, which is a skyscraper. That's your child going into the skies, getting all what there is into life. And in the process of construction, I have learned that there's a thing called scaffolding. Okay, so when you are making a building construction, you erect scaffold so that you can add more layers to the block. When those layers have been added, do you leave the scaffold there?
No,
So
eventually
you remove the scaffold,
you remove the
and then the building stands.
Stands.
So you, as the parent, you are the building constructor, you are the engineer, you are the bricklayer. So you bring in the scaffold, and then you allow that scaffold as a leverage for you, and that's your status as a parent.
What happens when you remove the scaffold too early?
Too early?
Yes.
Okay.
Is that not a risk?
Okay, great, fantastic. In building, I have learned that if you lay 10,000 blocks today, you can remove the block. You can remove the scaffold. I learned in construction that if you erect scaffolding for a structure and then you have laid the blocks with the right cement mixture, ratio, and all of those things, the building will not fall
stand.
if you remove the scaffolding, because the building was not standing on the scaffold.
I think that's the fear that many parents have.
Exactly. So your children will not will become independent and can get the best versions of themselves if they know that they have the right set of skills to grow. So let's try to give it a contextual practical example now. So you want your child to learn communication skill, and then you want your child to speak well in public and to be respectful and to honor people and respect them, probably by greeting them appropriately. There's the thing my mom says to me, in where we grew up, people just, when they pass by the elderly people, they just murmur a thing. Assuming that the adults heard what you said, and then should respond and take that as a greeting. My mom says, no, you open your mouth and say, good morning, ma. Good morning.
Yes.
Exactly. I say, good morning, sir. Good morning, ma. My mom goes to say, if the person you are greeting does not hear you or pretends not to hear you, go and touch the adult and say, sir, good. Don't say, sir, I'm greeting you. Say, sir, good morning, sir. Good morning, ma. If there are 10 people, you greet 10 times.
Yes.
10 people, 10. Now, my mom
Gen Z.
my mom is no longer here now. And one day I was on an outreach to a particular school, and I saw the student. We were about 4 people, facilitators to that school, and the students came in and greeted us individually. I said, yes,
wow,
this is my mom's scaffold. And that's the way it works. Now today I'm independent, I can teach it. Is my mom telling me again? No, she has said hers. I'm sure she didn't say it more than once. I'm sure she didn't say it. And she said it to every of the children that she had. And till tomorrow, that's stuck in my head, that a child does not greet, there's no generic greeting. because there are 10 adults. If there are 2 adults, you don't say good morning,
and assume that
others
will pick.
They should
you
share
pick your own.
it and share it amongst themselves. No.
Mr. Bayole, oh my God.
So for communication, that's the scaffold. For leadership, that's the scaffold. For finance, that's the scaffold. For every aspect.
So for the finance, let me quickly say this. We need to run, Mr. Bayole, you're going to have to come again next week so that we'll complete this conversation. We have to draw the curtain at this point. So what's your parting shot as we go this afternoon?
Parents need to understand how to build support structures. We need to redefine our roles in the lives of our children, and that we need to help them to be independent and to be responsible for themselves.
So you heard it. Don't forget that children will do what they see us do more than what we tell them to do. It's important that we provide the support and teach our children to be independent, even with us behind as their support system. This is where we draw the curtain on 360 Parenting with the Bokolo Oteshlon on 103.5 FM. Please keep a date with us, same time, same station, same day next week as we continue this conversation. Don't forget, it's not just the child that you birth that is your responsibility. The children around you are also your responsibility.